I greet you in the name of our Lord and thank you so much for joining us tonight. Baguma Richard is the one before you, bringing you the inaugural program, the Ballot 2026, and it's your mighty TV family television. Good evening and thank you. This show, like it is called, the Ballot 2026, is focusing on a critically important activity that is going to take place in a couple of months in this country, and that is yet another election of the leaders that will steer us for the next 5 years. And it's my pleasure and honor to be here, and thank you so much for honoring us. Tonight, I have two guests with whom I will be discussing the state of election preparation in this country. First is Faridah Lule. Faridah Lule is an accredited election observer. She's recently accredited by Uganda's Electoral Commission. Next is Kintu Moses. Kintu does the public relations function at the office of the chairman of the National Resistance Movement. The chairman of the National Resistance Movement is one of the candidates who is also now seeking your vote, your ballot. I would like to welcome you, colleagues, to this inaugural session. This is the first one.
Oh. Wow.
Yeah. So you are the very first guests on this show, the Ballot 2026 on Family TV, and I welcome you.
Thank you so much.
Yes, Lule, first, I'll come to you. Our viewers would like to know you a little bit better. I just said you are an accredited election monitor, but say a little bit more about yourself.
Thank you, Richard, for this hospitality. Viewers, you are watching Faridah Lule, and I'm the Executive Director, Ushahidi Foundation Uganda. Ushahidi Foundation Uganda is a non-government organization, non-partisan, and our focus is to see that Uganda has a free, fair electoral process, and there is integrity in the whole in all the activities that we conduct during elections.
Okay. You're very welcome.
Thank you.
You said free and fair, and that's where we'll be headed. Free and fair election. I think that's the real issue for the Ballot 2026.
Exactly.
Bueno, a little bit more about yourself.
Okay. I want to reach greetings to all our viewers of Family TV. My name is Kintu Moses. I'm a Public Relations Officer, Office of the National Chairman of the NRM. That is the President of the Republic of Uganda. In our party, in my office, I have him as a chairman. That man has a constitutional mandate in the National Resistance Movement, where he oversees and makes sure that the NRM party continues to prosper, continues to be a sounding party, and continues to see that it takes forward the country and all the peoples of Uganda into now what we are calling a qualitative leap into a higher middle income status. So that office is mandated under the National Resistance Movement Constitution to make sure that everything that you see that appears in our manifesto, everything that you see that appears in the legislative arm of the government, that is the parliament, where the NRM is, matches to the quality and expectations of Ugandans.
So you are the quality police of the NRM.
I would say we are both the qualitative and the quantitative.
All right, you're very welcome to the show. You're very, very welcome. Now, this country, like many other countries, expect a free and fair election that Faridah has just talked about. When you look at the history of this country, and there have been many elections from the 60s, there is not much evidence that a lot of these have been free and fair. according to some observers, including court judgments. And there have been court recommendations that have been made to be implemented before we get into the next election, which is coming next year in a couple of months. There are also things now happening where some observers are questioning the fairness and the freeness of the process, because a ballot is not on polling day. A ballot is the entire process. That's really what it is. Faridah, you have been, when were you accredited, by the way?
We were accredited in, this is September, this is October, in August.
So you were 1 month old?
Yeah, we were accredited actually to do voter education. The observation is still on, so we are now fully accredited to sensitize the citizens on what they need, giving them information that will require them to make informed decisions come 2026. So the election observation bit, the process is still on, because they need to go through a lot of processes for us to get accreditation. But it is late. It's because we are supposed to, we can't be like foreigners. You're supposed to accredit us. If you are to accredit us before, when the cycle starts, when the electoral cycle starts. So after you launch the roadmap, you should have your stakeholders, all your stakeholders with you, such that they can be able to make informed choices. They're able to actually write reports that are actually informing the process to benefit the whole process. But when you hold on to some stakeholders and you do not accredit them on time, you would find that you'll get inadequate information, and even people will be looking here and there to get information for them to be able to write proper reports. At the end of the day, you will find so much that has been written on the polling day, yet the electoral cycle does not start on the polling day. It starts way before even the registration. Because preparation alone for voter registration, that is when we start the process.
Okay, so I have personally participated in civic education activities and election monitoring in the earlier times, in the 1996 elections. We had what we called a joint civic education coordination unit, and it was a partnership with the Electoral Commission at that time. But I'm going to take first the issue that you have raised, the issue of late accreditation. And I'm saying this because I have also on the other platforms heard from the bigger organizations, the bigger, NGOs and, foreign institutions, that they have been denied accreditation. And I know that's the question to the Electoral Commission. But the bigger ones were denied accreditation, and the smaller ones were the ones who were accredited, and that they were accredited late. Does this in any way affect the outcome of the election?
Yes, somehow, but I will not agree with you that most of the big organizations were actually left out. I think there was a process, and it is the Electoral Commission that will have to explain to the public why some organizations were left out and some organizations were given accreditation. I myself, I am not small because I know I have a lot of information and experience. So why did I get the accreditation to actually? Because I was persistent. I followed all the procedures and I made sure that I submit whatever was asked from my organization. So I was waiting. If they deny accreditation, if they deny Ushahidi accreditation, I would then ask, why? Because you asked A, B, C, D, and I gave it to you. So you're supposed to give me feedback. So that is why I fault the Electoral Commission. They have to give information, they have to give explanation to all these organizations that were not given accreditation. Reasons as to why, such that they are in better position to maybe to work on those challenges that they know, maybe those requirements that they did not meet, such that in the next election, they're able to present everything that is required. So, but if you keep quiet, that is why you will see people going on and actually giving similar or different information about the process of accrediting organizations to do voter education. But I myself, actually, one of the security team came to visit the organization and they asked me, what are you going to do and what are your intentions? I was able to explain. So I said, now what next? Okay, wait for the Electoral Commission. So I still went to Electoral Commission, followed up the process, and they told me that this is the stage at which your application is being handled. So I had to follow each and every process. And I was able, when the outcome came that Faridah, your organization has been accredited, I knew because everything that I had submitted, all the requirements. So they were going to give me an explanation if they had denied me accreditation. So good enough, I got the accreditation because I went through the whole process.
And the impact of late?
The impact of late accreditation actually goes back to Electoral Commission, and I have been having quarrels with the Electoral Commission that, you know, you frustrate the whole process. One, we don't have money from government. That government is going to facilitate us. We have to use the accreditation letters for us to fundraise, for us to be able to educate the citizens, because people underestimate voter education, but it is very key. And I was telling my colleagues the other time that, you know, not so many people actually understand that it is not independent Electoral Commission. It is the Electoral Commission of Uganda. So, and not everyone knows that I am going to, in fact, when you are filling the NIRA form, there is a provision where they ask you, where do you want to vote from? And some people skip that. I don't know, they just mention, and because they're in a hurry forgetting to get national IDs, so they do not actually pay attention. I was with some big professional and well-educated ladies. They did not even know that that provision is there on the NIRA form. So, you know, there is a lot that we need to sensitize Ugandans about. That even when you are filling the NIRA form, there is that request, there is that provision where you're supposed to indicate where do you want, are you a voter? Where do you want to vote from? And then you indicate it. So when the Electoral Commission when NIRA picks the whole information, they will take the information, and then Electoral Commission will come and pick that information from the NIRA database, and they will not disturb you. They will know that you've already mentioned. So that time you are not able to disturb people that I don't even know where I'm going to vote from. Already it is you who chose. So at any one point, if they change, then they are to blame. Then there is also an issue of for example, Bukedia, where these three women were actually deleted from the register. How? Okay,
for context, it is to say that Bukedia is the constituency where the speaker is the woman member of parliament.
Exactly.
And there were three candidates trying to vie against her, and they have all been told they are not voters in that place. They have been disqualified. That's what you were explaining.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was just for context for the viewers.
They deleted that the tribunal, there is a tribunal. Not so many people know that there is even a tribunal at the village, which actually looks at the register, and they actually know that you are not a member, you are not a resident in Mutambara, for example. You are not a resident, and they will know that you are not supposed to be on the register, on this register, because you are not a resident in that area. But now, not so people will jump on the conversation that maybe were these people deleted, but also the tribunal to delete, there has to be some other people to actually inform the tribunal that this person is not supposed to be on the register. Not the tribunal to sit alone and make decisions. They have to be informed by information from the voters. So we have to know all that process, and we have to educate the voters that this is the process, right from the word go. Even demarcation, not so many people, not so many candidates, even the voters know that, for example, Kampala Central is actually, when you go after Nachivubo, that is now Lubaga Umachindi, that is not Kampala Central. So during the demarcation process, we're supposed to educate and call upon people to come and participate in the demarcation of electoral areas, to know where your constituents, actually the boundaries of the constituents where you are going to vote from. But if you get the accreditation late, all those processes, you will not participate, or you will not educate, you will not sensitize voters. And at the end of that day, you will find voters moving from A up to B. You know, I used to vote from here, but But during the demarcation, you would find that according to the rules that the Electoral Commission follows, according to Electoral Commissions Act, they have the mandate to decide if they find that, for example, there was a polling station here there, and Chizito or Bosco has built an arcade. Definitely, they have to shift to that polling station. So when they shift to that polling station, that means that for you, if you step back, if we don't tell you about all those that information, you will sit back and you will not come to actually know that actually the polling station was shifted because there was a new development in that area. So that is the work of educators.
But Moses, and in case you have just joined us, it's to remind you that this is the inaugural show of the Ballot 2026. The show comes your way from Family TV, and it's a show that comes your way every Wednesday. It will be coming to you at 9 p.m. And we'll be talking about the issues that relate to the extremely important exercise, the exercise of electing our leaders who will steer us for the next 5 years or perhaps beyond. And so it's very, very critical that we share in this. And so you've just been listening to Faridah. Faridah is an accredited voter educator, and should be teaching you what to do as a voter. But you see, Moses, that's what I want to come to now. So we load these responsibilities onto the Electoral Commission, but I am a voter. Am I not supposed to be vigilant also? Am I not supposed to be interested in where I'm supposed to vote from? Am I not supposed to be interested in checking the register? Am I not supposed to follow up these things? I mean, don't I have a duty?
Now, you've put to us a very, very important topic, because the democracy, which is a pillar under the NRM, the National Resistance Movement, under my 4 core pillars, democracy is the strongest. The National Resistance Movement, in its formation, our spark of going into a 5-year struggle, it starts with the democracy and on the elections, where our president now participated as a candidate under the UPM. The election results were somehow questionable. Him and the colleagues at the material time, maybe they found it fit that they were able to go and lodge a protracted people's war.
No, they got a chance.
Of which,
they got just to grab.
It is not grabbing, because it is something they fought for.
Yes, yes.
Where you grab, it appears a sort of a coup.
But don't we have responsibility? So should our responsibility be to go and fight?
The responsibility shouldn't be
yes,
to go and fight.
Yes.
And why we have the name the National Resistance Movement, we were trying to resist. We did not want to go and fight. The issue was about agreeing, come to a consensus. The government then, led by the late Dr. Apollo Milton Obote, to understand that it is important to bring different stakeholders on board and you agree about national values. Now, this democracy, we took full 10 years after winning in '86 to get back to elective politics. Where we started, we did not have political parties. It was about individual merit. How good are you? How do you behave? The people at the village, how good do they know you? Are you a good man? How do you behave in the society? Those were the qualities considered, unlike now. But when we get to 2004, where serious debate came on board, do we need to move back to political parties, or do we need to continue with the individual merit? We are working under the movement. Majority of the population and the members of the parliament then, they bought into going back to the political party system. A shift into the political party system shifts the bigger responsibility to the political parties. An election is continuous. For example, when I won the 2021 elections, I did not go back to sit. I had to continue with the process. I had a manifesto, a social contract I made with the public, the Ugandans. I had to make sure that I implement this manifesto. So now, the responsibility of carrying out the civic education as regards elections, it is a responsibility, number one, of the Electoral Commission, because it is a mandate to them. But indirectly, it is a responsibility of the political parties. Because why do political parties exist in the first place? Their formation is about elections. they have to go and participate in these elections. How do they prepare their members? Because internally, as political parties as well, we conduct these elections before you get to the general elections of the general country as Uganda. We conduct these elections internally. And in there, we are supposed to make a reflection of what would be in the national elections. Coming to me as the National Resistance Movement, I think I have the hottest primaries ever. Primaries where the whole of the 72,000 villages across Uganda, they have to participate. They vote their leaders. These people participate in voting their leaders. Their key items we pick out. How do they understand the elections? Do they know that an election is not about paying someone to vote for him or her? Do they know that an election is a gun to a citizen? Because a ballot a citizen holds, that is their gun. We are no longer going back to the bush. Now the power and authority, we gave it back to the citizens. And their guns and their power and authority lies within this ballot paper. But the question is, do the citizens understand the power they have? Do they understand that this member of parliament they are going to vote, who is giving them 1,000, is going to represent them for 5 years? I would quote one of the leaders I admire so much.
Before you quote, I want to come in there because I think you made an important statement. You said the internal elections of political parties, and you used the word reflection.
Yes.
They reflect what the elections, the actual elections, may be like. And I had hoped that the National Unity Platform Party person will be here because we were tempted to invite them. The election, the internal election of the National Resistance Movement, for what the media was telling us, what we hear, what the complaints we hear from the people, the social media videos and things, provides a worrisome standard for what the national election will be. If we have that violence, if we have these complaints, if we have that worries for the election. And for the other one, the National Unity Platform, that was a selection actually. But that was their method of election.
Which is okay, legally.
Yeah, because it's internal. Again, you see the same allegations of bribery, of corruption, of manipulation, of what. So that creates a worrisome situation for the election. But two, I've just been seeing here on the news that one of the candidates who is not thought to be too adversarial has been eating tear gas in the east, now in the west. But we also know that we have seen candidates being diverted off roads, and we know that candidate Yoweri Museveni really has a very, what can I say, too huge an advantage over the others. And we have seen people around, especially the candidate of NUP, incarcerated for 5 years actually. The ones who were picked from the last election, some of them are still in. So if these circumstances reflect the election, and I go back to free and fair, because for me that's the cardinal thing, then can we expect a free and fair elections if these circumstances reflect what is coming?
Mr. Baguma, an election is free and fair
when court says it isn't.
An election isn't 100% honest, I would say.
Okay, that's very honest.
It is not 100% honest.
So your statement is honest.
It is free and fair. Why do we say that it is free and fair? It is about contestation. Where there is a contest, an election carries emotions. Individuals, they invest in resources. You just highlighted a very good example about the violence which appeared. Some manageable violence, according to me. Because I do understand that where emotions are, I expect you to have violence. And the question is, do I have capacity to manage that violence? That is the most important question. And we in the National Resistance Movement, yes, we have the capacity to manage the violence. Myself, I was observing the primaries. I was in Mubende. I happened to be at one polling station. I get two strong members of parliament. That is Honorable Mbate Kamwa coming at a polling station, and Honorable Kabanda Daudi, the MP of Kasambia, carrying at the same station. We had regulations which we are supposed to follow. But look here, all the MPs are saying, let people just line up without following the register. Until when I interrupted and asked, what is the chaos for? No, the MPs are saying we should just line up. And my question was, we are having issues. We have school children. We have people who never registered in our register. And now they want to come and participate. I maintain the position, DPC come on board, let everyone move out of the polling station, get the register, read, whoever read gets into the ring face of the polling station. I want to tell you, Mr. Baguma, the leaders we think they are honorable members of parliament, where their emotions are, they forego the law. So, the worries, what we see in the internal elections of the political parties, for example, me in the NRM, how is it going to be outside? This is a very good eye-opener to the Electoral Commission, because they are the same players. The individuals who are in the national resistance movement with emotions, they are the same people who are going to be in the national elections. They are not different from anywhere. And the tactics used by the different players, everyone wants to get the win. Where they want to get the win, some will use methods that are not honest to make sure that they get the win. For example, in the past election, we lost over 1 million votes in Kampala. President Museveni's votes. Over 1 million votes. Alteration of DR forms because our polling agents were sleeping.
I saw
the people have an opportunity.
I saw a clip by one of your ministers that there were 2 million.
Yes, I said over 1 million votes.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about where we have evidence.
And the presenter said, Minister. Then he even pulled out a hanky to cry.
Mr. Baguma, if you are a rich man, a coffee farmer in a village, and you happen to make harvests which go over 2,000 bags of coffee, those are 2 tons. You keep them in your store, and your storekeeper happens to steal 2 bags, reporting to the police station that I'm missing 2 bags of my 2 tons. Do you know what the public will judge? Only 2 sacks of coffee bags, and that could be a reason to take someone before the law, to imprison a person. So do you want to mean that because President Museveni carries a virtue of being a president and being an elections winner through democracy all the time, that his votes cannot be stolen?
2 million of them?
2 million of them?
It is difficult for an ordinary viewer to believe you. You also know that.
Now, Mr. Baguma.
No, let's first agree on that point, that it is difficult.
And let me tell you
for an ordinary viewer watching you
to
believe you.
By the time the president has decided to come out to be honest and reveal what has been happening for the past so many elections, it means it is much.
Well, but
let me tell you something.
I want to come to Farida. I want you to conclude
my sister here is an observer. We've been having issues with the register of the Electoral Commission. What the opposition has been doing, they collide with some agents in the Electoral Commission. You might realize that your name, one name of yours, it is appearing in about 12 districts. The same name. And these people, when they collide within, they give the registers earlier to the opposition, and the opposition happens to know where these names are. A person who casts a ballot here at 8 a.m. in Kampala is able to drive and go to Masaka, and the same person votes. You find one person voting like 4 times.
And that is an electoral commission appointed
like 4 times.
Appointed by your chairman.
And
fired by your chairman. I want you to conclude on that. How I come to Farida.
That person is appointed by the President of the Republic of Uganda. The Constitution gives powers to the President of the Republic of Uganda. Not the person of Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, not the chairman of NRM.
Okay. Thank you very much. You have even laughed. Farida, you have been hearing these comments. I would like to hear your views.
First of all, Mr. Chid, thank you so much for those, because those observations give us a hint of how to actually observe more of the issues that happen. But first of all, I'm going to disagree with you completely. And also I disagree with the president on the 2 million voters that you claim that you got from Kampala. Did you do an audit? Because we've never done an audit for this electoral process. And we have asked as civil society, let's do an audit. So through that audit, that is when you can tell that this is really happened. So you do not have facts that can actually allude that you had 1 million voters. Because if you can allude to that, you must have done an audit of the whole process, and you agreed to that process. 2, you present the DRR forms. The DRR forms, because you have agents everywhere. You have agents, you are one party that has agents across the country. Not like these opposition candidates. Most of them, they do not even have, they cannot afford to deploy 100% agents in the whole country. So if the president says that, no, I lost 2 million in the central region, bring those DRR forms. Because at every polling station, the presiding officer signs, the agents present also sign, and you have a copy as a party. Not only NRM, all parties, as long as you have your agents accredited to be at a certain polling station, you are actually, the law provides for you to get that declaration form. That declaration form is what you use. Maybe if you want to go to court and say for sure at this polling station, these are the results that I got. And NRM has never brought those DRR forms to show the world that really, according to these DRR forms, Electoral Commission cheated us. No, that was completely wrong. And on the register, the register, you cannot vote from here. And also, if I'm Nalyange Faridah Lule, a voter in Butambala, then I use the same ID in Mubende. Still, Faridah Lule, the same names, using the same ID, the machine will actually detect that, no, this person has already voted. Unless there is fraud at that polling station where they do not allow the machine to operate. That is when you can see people voting different, actually same people may be coming up to vote. But if the machines, if they leave, if this government can leave the system to work, that cannot happen. It can only happen when there is fraud, when the security has taken over the polling station and thugs come and everyone votes.
Okay, so
that issue of the register, you know, that is why we are saying that we need to be part of the whole process, to observe the process. Because, you know, the register has processes. 1, you have to go and register. 2, there is display. Then there is that period, the 10 days, the natural justice, where you have to find out, are these the people who are supposed to be on the register? Has NRM as a party done that? Or you've sat in your offices to actually let the process be? We are here making noise, please. We are registering. Electoral Commission is registering. 2, there is the display exercise. The display exercise shows that whether the information, for example, if Baguma says I'm no longer interested in voting from Kololo, now I'm going back to Marara, I fill the transfer forms. So when you fill the transfer forms, you take to the officer who is actually taking information. So after that, if that officer did not pick your information, your request, as you mentioned, you go and check the display exercise. When you check the display exercise and you find the same information that you submitted before is the same, you still raise the complaint with the person who is the official who is actually conducting that process. And if that if they bring back the register, and if you still get that information, you have that 10 days natural justice to raise that objection. On election day, if you don't find your name, you can sue Electoral Commission. Just gather all that information that on this day and this time I filled this form. I even came back to you. How come my name is not on the register? So that process is there to help all of us. Once we neglect those processes, we are not actually supposed to mention anything about the credibility of the register, because it is there. We are supposed to participate, and when we don't participate, you'll get those challenges, and the person who is there will actually take advantage. One, you will actually always blame the Electoral Commission, but the Electoral Commission, that's why I'm advocating for the Electoral Commission to have its own independent register, not to pick the register from NIRA. Because the Electoral Commission alone will sit and wait for until when NIRA cleans up. When NIRA cleans up, they send to Electoral Commission. So Electoral Commission picks what NIRA has given them, because Electoral Commission does not have the mandate to say that this Kintu is a Ugandan. They don't have that may be the system to check whether Kintu is a Ugandan. For them, they are there to know that Kintu is 18. Because there is another institution that verifies that. And they have been given money to verify that. So Electoral Commission gets what NIRA gives them, that these are the Ugandans that I'm giving you, who are 18 years and above, who are supposed to be on the register. So what Electoral Commission does is to clean and see, are there no duplications? Are they, have the requests that were put, have they been put into consideration? Then they can fill, and at the end of the day, we see a voter register on the election day. And you remember some people are saying that why are you leaving those that have attained 18? No, by the election time, we will not have people who have attained 18. Maybe in between, someone will turn 18, but on election day, that person will not be able to vote. And you see people, every day someone is born, there is a child, and every day someone turns 18. This is a process. People look at elections as a one-off. It's not. There are so many other elections. For example, elections for people with disability, elderly, and this is the register that informs those processes. Those committees, the representatives, you see these youth MPs, they are actually elected by other people. There's other processes that actually inform the delegates the delegates that come to vote for the union, the youth representatives, and then the elderly.
The workers.
Those processes start before. So this voters register has to inform those processes. So that means that we need to have a cutoff, whether you like it or not. And this is the voters register that informs the Electoral Commission to how many ballot papers are we going to print. By the way, if we have 20 or 18 million Ugandans registered, each one of you, they actually printed a ballot for you, whether you turn up or not. So it's better not to waste resources and you turn up and vote. Because whether you like it or not, they will print for you a voters register.
All right.
A ballot paper.
This is very interesting. And we will now take a break. We'll take a breather. In case you have just joined us, it is the Ballot 2026. It's the inaugural show of this program on Family TV, and we are focusing on a critical exercise in which we are all participating. It's already going on. Some of the special interest groups have already been through this exercise. It's the ballot of 2026, the election that is coming up, and all of us need to be prepared, ready, and participate in it. In fact, Moses here has termed it the ammunition of the voter, of the population. And after the break, I will be going to you, Moses, to make a comment on this critical issue of the register. Because you have also had interesting times during the register of the NRM. But don't go away. In a couple of seconds, we will be back here.
This is Church of Uganda Family TV. Enriching lives. Regulated by the Uganda Communications Commission.
Welcome back from that break, and thank you for staying with us. The Ballot 2026, our inaugural show of this program that is featuring on Family TV, and we focus for the next 6 months or so on this critical exercise, which is the election. It's so critical that we are putting in place people who are going to determine the direction of this country, really the direction of our lives for the next 5 years. It's so important that we participate, that we know what we need to do, that we take interest, and we raise the number of people who come to vote, the eligible number of people, beyond the law below 50%. You know, in the last election, I'm told that we had less than 50% of the registered voters come to cast their vote. And we complain afterwards that we are not being governed well, yet we did not go to choose who governs us. And I think that's very important. One of the pillars of a proper, fair and free election is a clean, good and updated register. Now, in studio I have Faridah Lule. Faridah Lule is an accredited voter educator, so she will be coming your way to educate you. And she's the executive director of Ushahidi Foundation. In studio too, I have Moses Kintu. Moses Kintu is public relations officer for the office of the chairman of the NRM. The chairman of the NRM has many hats. One of them is that, and then he's the president, and then he's many other things. Moses, the NRM, I mean, clearly has quite a presence in the country. And it just went through a very interesting election to determine who will be especially the flag bearers. And one of the things that was talked about a lot and contested quite was the register that led to that election. You had, before we went for the break, Faridah here talking about the problems and challenges of the national register itself. Do you see parallels between the NRM register and the national register, and therefore similar occurrences?
An election, the backbone of each and every election is the register. Because much as we are all Ugandans, not everyone amongst us as the citizens that has a right to participate in an election. A Ugandan who is obliged to participate in any election must be above 18 years or 18 years and above. Despite being 18 years and above, you must take responsibility and ensure that you are registered by the Uganda Independent Electoral Commission. I can be 18 years. I have my national ID. But I don't take the initiative to make sure that I appear on the National Independent Electoral Commission's register. There I am not a voter. Much as I am 18 years. Even we have some Ugandans who are clocking past your age, but they are not voters. Maybe because they are not interested in election processes.
They also have a right not to vote.
They have the right not to vote. Because
according to the Constitution, it is option.
Yeah. It is option.
Yeah, it's option.
Yeah.
The Constitution is very clear, it is option.
Yeah. It is optional.
If you want, you register. If you don't want,
But this register, when we get back to it, it links back to the value of the citizens. The processes that are put in place for us to participate until when we appear on this so-called register, there are several of them. One of them is to make sure that you have certain particulars. For the Uganda Electoral Commission, you have to make sure that you have a national ID. That makes you a Ugandan. We have some individuals in this country who even don't care about having a national ID. Fine, they are registered, but they never cared to go and pick their national IDs. Just like in the NRM, in our register, you have to make sure that one, you are a Ugandan. Because this country, Uganda, is a country which is blessed so much by God. that we are having one of the highest number of refugees. The refugees, at times, the laws give them a liberty to come and live freely in our societies. So how do I know that this one is a Ugandan, this one is not a Ugandan? It is the national ID. When you have that national ID, you must express the willingness to go and participate. You must walk to a designated place where our registrar is to go and register yourself. No one will walk to your household. You are supposed to walk where the registrar is. The challenge with the Uganda Electoral Commission, and I hope as we continue in the future, they will try to improve, because these are concerns we are having. In the NRM, I have over 20.2 members. Of the 20.2 members, I have over 18 million voters, about 18.6, who are of adult age, who are mandated to vote. But these voters, majority of them, you might realize about 1 million or 2 of them, they might not appear on the register of the Electoral Commission. Why? I take my register to the village. That is the same. The Uganda Electoral Commission, when it is doing its register check and verification and what, it stays at the parish. A parish which brings together about 5 villages. Take, for example, a person who is in Chisenyi at a designated parish area. An individual must leave his or her home to make sure that they walk and look where the officer is, designated by the Uganda Electoral Commission. We are not taking into concern of the fairness to bring the service closer to the citizen. With the disturbing Uganda, where a person, God tells us in the Bible that we eat from our sweat, where individuals have to look for what to eat for a day. What time will they have to walk and look for this officer? This officer works within a speculated time frame. At exactly 5 p.m., the officer is not there. You never find them there. Much as they say they are working throughout, even on the weekends, they never show up on time. A person like you, who has the responsibility to serve, you will not have that time to wait for that officer. So, can the Electoral Commission also switch and make things more digital? In that I can register at my convenience. I can be in my bed and register via online. That would be a fair process. If we are still having those gaps, many Ugandans are being left out of the election. Number 2, the register is there yet, yes. But how do I get to know that the register is ready for consumption? How good do they disseminate their information? For the first time, I am seeing my sister, and I know under the law of the Electoral Commission, they are mandated to recruit and accredit individual organizations to help them do the voter education. However, how do we know about that? How many local stations do you reach out to? Most of the Ugandans are still consuming information from the radio. How many do you go reach out to the voters to get them? All of that incurs a cost. How are you managing it as an organization? We have to look into all those parameters if we are talking about fairness. The fairness is not about the day an individual casts a ballot and it is counted. The fairness is a process. One, from the service of registration of that voter. How fair are you towards that Ugandan? Are you taking the service closer to them, or you are keeping it still at the parish, where I have to incur about 5,000 to go and look for this person who is registered? Money I would be using to buy food at my home, I spend it to go and register myself to participate in an election. I have to make an option. Really, I think if you are talking about the credibility of the register in the NRM, in my side, I think I am more fairer, because I go to the village where you can walk in less than 5 minutes. You've reached my register office, the registrar is there, and you update your particulars. But for the Electoral Commission, I have to incur transport. Look at the burden, transport of more than 5,000 in Kampala to go and participate in that election. I don't know where your parish is and the village where you come from.
It is called Nkokonje.
What is the distance between from your village to go to the parish headquarters?
I am lucky actually that the distances don't really affect me very much.
And what about these people
yes,
who are living at the outskirts of the parish?
No, I see your point. And you see, again, Faridah was talking about, and I'm coming to Faridah. You see, you were talking about the unfairness that we load onto the Electoral Commission. The Electoral Commission over the years has budgeted for its expenses, and those budgets have not been provided. Over the years, they started budgeting for this election of 2026. The one I first knew about was, and I was in the corridors of Parliament, was their budget for 2022. And they were talking about not voter education, but civic education. They were saying the Uganda Human Rights Commission did not have a budget for civic education. They are supposed to. And the Electoral Commission was not given money for civic education. And so, they can't educate. They just couldn't. So, Faridah, for an Electoral Commission that is starved of budget, are we fair to it by freely criticizing it?
One, first of all, the Electoral Commission, I'm not their spokesperson, I'm just an observer. Electoral Commission operates on what the law provides. So Parliament passed a law that they're supposed to conduct, according to what the resource envelope, they're supposed to conduct registration at parish level. So they cannot go to the village level because the law does not provide for them to go to the village level, despite the fact that there is a need. They strictly have to follow what the law provides. Now, it is upon where I fault them that in their report to Parliament, they should give such recommendations that it would be proper for us to go to the village because of A, B, C, D. But still, for them, when they sit comfortably, even Parliament thinks that they made a good law, and they will move with that, which is wrong. He's raising a very critical what?
But Faridah, I don't want you to answer this. Maybe Moses will come to it, but I want to interject now and let you continue with your point. That the vast majority of members of Parliament are NRM. In their party, it is good to go to the village. At the national level, they register for the parish. That's not for you to, but I was just raising this comment. Yes.
True. So, and I actually wanted to comment on their register, because in a democratic country, we cannot have such a register. They cannot even feel proud of that register. I would just be very excited a little bit that you are moving the process to be in a process, but as a party, do not even ever get excited about that register. Because one, when you send your officer to the village to register NRM people, what evidence does everyone who comes to register show that I'm a member of the NRM party? How are we sure that you are only registering NRM? Even these people, when do you audit your register? Because you might find the same person in the NRM register, also the same person holding a party card for FDC, the same person at that village holding a card for NOP and maybe Democratic Party. So
no, that is not maybe. That is not a maybe. I know
for a fact.
For a fact. I know for a fact. They take some, and this one was in the East.
Exactly.
And the person told me, you see, these cards I have are earning instruments. When these ones come, I pull out. I get a T-shirt and other things. When the other ones come, and so there is double counting in the registers. But then, and I will ask Moses, but I want you to finish, is the membership belonging to a party is by my self-declaration. So if I declare to the one registering, they will believe me. Yeah, and that's a challenge. So how do you provide proof beyond somebody's declaration that they belong to this one?
So to be fair to the process, if I was part of the NRM, I would just be recommending that no, we should have a digitalized, and we should make sure that we clean our register. We should have a fair process. But if you are to talk about elections and you bring NRM register, you actually get sick, because the process alone is not fair at all. So we have to make sure that we help. Leave alone their party, they can actually audit themselves, but at least this is a national election. So if it comes to a national election, we need to make sure that we provide the necessary resources to the Electoral Commission to conduct the national election.
But you put ink. If you vote, you put ink. So even if you run to another place, you have ink, unless they don't check the ink.
Exactly. No, when you click and they click that you have actually appeared at the polling station, you cannot go ahead and appear at the same time.
So you both agree that it should be digitized?
It should be digitalized, and it is. But only that people, security, and so many other actually thugs come in and disorganize the commission. You know, but they have the processes, they have the system, and you know, when you don't receive, like for example, what happened in Kawempe, you know, when you have thugs actually kicking ballot boxes, but the Electoral Commission did its part. And what did the law say? What did the court say? The court said that the Electoral Commission did not protect. They had security, they went for security, and security was present.
But the Electoral Commission woman was beaten. So how would you protect?
Actually, my agent
was beaten.
My agent, my candidate was beaten technically by
so what protection?
And the Electoral Commission does not have its own security.
It doesn't.
It has to rely on the national security. So when court says no, Electoral Commission did not do enough, to what extent did you want the Electoral Commission to play its part? So leave alone that when it comes to the cost, Electoral Commission, you cannot do civic education, because civic education is the mandate of Uganda Human Rights Commission. Government provide money to the Uganda Human Rights Commission. That's why you put the Uganda Human Rights Commission. Why did you establish that commission? To do its part. So give them money to do civic education, because Electoral Commission, your role is to do voter education. And when it comes to voter education, they claim that they have not given them enough resources. But also I will fault them, because during the process when we don't have elections, they have returning officers who are actually paid a salary. So what does the returning officer in the district do after election? Can't you organize yourself and start educating and sensitizing people at that level without even considering a cost? You can actually talk to government, because this government is actually the one responsible for this Electoral Commission. You talk to them, let's use the airspace. And then you send the person, the returning officer, during that time when there are no elections, let these people not go home to sleep, because they are paid a salary. Why should they stay home? Why should they do other activities when they have a role, when someone is paying them a salary? So during that time when we are not in the electoral cycle, let them sensitize people, but they don't. They are waiting for money to do that. I actually myself, I have not got any money, but I'm doing it. I'm here, I'm supposed to be at home, but I'm here. So why can't those people that are paid a salary on a monthly period, why can't they go ahead and do that service instead of sitting at home? So stop that claim that we don't have money. You can actually utilize the resources that you have and do voter education, and we close that gap.
But is it in whose interest, Moses? In whose interest is it that civic education, before even voter education, that civic education is done? In whose interest is it? Because if resources are not provided to the Human Rights Commission to do civic education as mandated, and funds are not provided to the Electoral Commission to do voter education, so really there is no interest. That's what it means.
Now, the interest is there, but maybe it is not a priority of those ones who appropriate. Because at the end of the day, everything goes back to the parliament. I always question myself, why is it urgent for them even to borrow when they have no salaries as MPs? And why is it urgent for them to borrow to educate the masses? There is a very big question. Previously, I was referring to the nation of Singapore. A democracy does not start when we know that people are going to participate in an election. The democracy starts from the household. At my home, do I have people who are above 18 years, who have attained 18 years?
But they don't elect me as a father.
But now me...
They have no choice.
Every socio-economic transformation of every society starts from the house. In the Bible, the Almighty Lord our Father in heaven tells us that a woman establishes a home. He talks about the establishment. The leadership is established from home. Now, me, a father, a parent, do I have the task to make sure that the people I have in my household who have attained the age of 18 years have they registered to be voters?
I haven't registered myself.
Do I have even the responsibility at the household to make my children understand that us to survive as a family, there is a responsibility of a government, and that government to be installed, it is our power? Do the citizens know that? Because no government happens without the installation of the citizens. Whether the leaders are corrupt, whether the leaders are bad, whatever kind of quality of leaders are, it is determined by the voters. You talk about corruption, but the most corrupt people are the voters who vote for them. Do you know that in this country, there is a man in Uganda Revenue Authority, eyebrows were raised against him for involving some scandals of corruption. He had to resign to protect himself, but he was highly welcomed in his constituency. It is in this country where a person goes and serves diligently, doesn't steal, that is called a stupid person. Our society also has to blame a lot. Why do you praise the thieves? Because when you praise thieves, you will vote for them. When they get to parliament, they will not go in for your needs. Our citizens in this country, if you went and checked the statistics of how many people took the burden to go and check on the register to verify their particulars, you will be shocked.
Yeah, but you see, I do not think that, except for the hand of God, President Museveni will not be president next year. So if I know the outcome of a football match, is it exciting to go watch it? No, I mean, so probably we have less than 50% of the people.
No, I disagree with you.
Not going to, because they already know,
Mr. Baguma, I disagree
that within 4 decades, there is nothing that gives them any reason to think things will change. And so, why spend so much energy going?
Now, Mr. Baguma, you've raised a very important scenario, however much it is a strong accusation against the NRM. Me, as the National Resistance Movement, because I understand the value of an election, something which is a pillar to me, the democracy, something which I've made sure that since 1996 I'm maintaining up to now, I understand what it is. A person who drives a Benz does not value the Benz more than this person who is hoping to buy a Benz one day, one time. They don't value it the same.
So the person, exactly, then we agree.
Me who is having power,
yes,
I understand how important an election
is. So you will go to maintain yourself.
And what I do, I make sure that my political party takes the responsibility to make sure that all the members I have in my party, they are registered voters with the Uganda Electoral Commission. I take that responsibility.
They don't go to vote.
Because I know.
They don't go.
Because I know, without these voters, I will not be able to have the power.
They don't go to vote. They look at the statistics.
What Ugandan is.
Yes.
Now, who tells you that the people who don't go to vote are NRM?
No.
Most of the people who don't go to vote may be. Some of those people, they just participate formally, thinking that an election is not important. Yeah, and these people participate at some parts of the election where, when the candidates go to them, they solicit money from them. But on the polling day, they never turn up.
In this country, less than 50% of registered voters go to vote.
Go to vote.
My theory, now that I am putting to you, and I have picked this, because the ones who say it are not in studio, so I will represent them, is that because they already know the outcome. So they are not, there is no need to go bother.
I think, I am one person who will never be moved by when they say that the President Museveni is going to be the next president, whether we like it or not. I take an example of Gambia. You know, the president of Gambia, the former president of Gambia, Jammeh, used to call himself a life president of that country. When the citizens of Gambia organized themselves through an election, Jammeh was thrown out. So let's again take our responsibility before we take a back seat and say President Museveni is going to actually come back as a president. If we take our responsibility, take for example the people who are in offices, trust me, on election day they don't appear. People will stay on their WhatsApp and their phones, and they will be there commenting on WhatsApp. But they have not participated in the election. They are leaving this electoral process to the people in the village, because for them they can stand the line, they can queue in the line, and actually be there until they vote. But Faridah, who is actually has her laptop, and actually she's there. I cannot stand in line with the work, in long queues with the villagers. How dare? But at the end of the day, when they tax you, you will feel the pinch. Then you regret, why didn't I actually maybe if my vote counted, I would have made a chance to have leaders who would have thought of this. Because for me, I can reason better than the person who has not gone to school. But you, who can actually see things in a positive way, who can actually make an informed choice, you are actually seated in your bedroom on election day. Because you are saying, no, it's going to turn out the way NRM wants. Why are you giving them that liberty? Why can't I challenge them? Like the people of Gambia did. So it still comes back to us as Ugandans. Let's play our part. You would say that at least I've played my part. And this country has selfish people. This country has selfish people. It has politicians. They are so selfish that they cannot even someone goes to a Larry and says, you people vote for me, but he cannot take a minute to sensitize those people. Not even a second. Look at all their Larrys. None of the presidential candidates, even including President Museveni, has actually taken 2 minutes to sensitize the voters.
About voting? About voting.
Well, even if you tell these voters that, don't cross, just tick, that is voter education. Do not spoil a ballot paper. Please don't. If you hate this person, don't cross. At least tick. No politician will do that. But they will be there, spend a lot of money. They will go door to door to look for votes. But remember, there are people who do not even understand the process. I was in Kabong. Someone picked, those people in Karamoja vote 100%. They can be in the line and vote 100%. But she went, lifted the basin, put the ballot paper in the basin, put it on the head, and moved. She has no idea what to do. In Nabiratuku, people don't even know where they do not know their age. So meaning they cannot participate in NIRA registration. Someone has to help them. So even politicians have to play this part and say, no, it is us who benefit a lot from these processes. Why can't we help the process? They don't. Now, another selfish entry is the middle class people who actually understand. They cannot also, as you treat, at least educate a Ugandan, because you are able to access some information. You understand the process. But these people will treat, these people will complain, these people will say everything, but they will never take a chance. Even a single second. Even Baguma here will never educate her, will never sensitize a Ugandan. So, it's at all on us, the few, who are actually taking this step to actually make sure that we sensitize Ugandans. It's not a blame that people don't know.
Why are you failing to bring us to your side?
We were not supposed to.
maybe because on her side, she expects an income. So she's doing the job.
She doesn't
you go and check even the Ushahidi account. There's not even a single shilling.
Maybe, Frida, if you've not paid attention to the candidate of President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, and maybe, I don't know, do you vote yourself? Yes. I don't want to question who you vote for. But when you look at my posters in the NRM, we take time to educate the people on how important is it to have an authentic vote. Check my posters. There is a tick. That tick never goes outside the box. It has a message it is communicating. We, the agents of the president, the presidential candidate of the NRM, we are duty bound to explain to the Ugandans, this is how you are supposed to vote. Because every vote counts. Every vote counts for me. Me as the NRM, actually I was worried when you were giving an example of Gambia. Yeah. That people woke up and they went and voted out to the sitting president.
Yes.
Now for me in the NRM, I know there is that power of the citizens. And I make sure that the people I have in my register, they are registered voters under the Uganda Electoral Commission. And I do make sure that on the polling day, before even it crossed 3 p.m., all my people voted. So I take that mandate.
So we talked about digital register. And let's take the context we have been in, and one of the viewers just reminded me. Said in Europe, right now, they are crying that there have been attempts to influence,
to manipulate the process.
In America, there are allegations that the process was actually influenced. And this person is saying, if those top technological countries with very robust cyber security systems can have their systems infiltrated, isn't it better that we remain with our money for now, because we do not have the same capabilities? Since cyber fraud is so high, it has affected our banks, it has infiltrated even our Bank of Uganda, our Ministry of Finance, that we paid money, millions of dollars to the wrong accounts. And so this is another view that is coming. What's his first comment on that?
Now we have to appreciate the role of technology in human development and our living in our day-to-day society. Why do we need technology? To ease the life. A person who then could go and walk to the Electoral Commission or to the District Registrar's office to check if that person is really an authentic voter. Now I have to get my phone. I get my phone, I follow the technological processes, and I verify myself where I vote from. That is a tick for technology. However, on the voting day, why do we say that we are moving to a biometric system of voting? Because if I go biometric, Mr. Baguma, if you come, you put your thumbprint, you own it one in the whole world. No one owns your thumb anymore. And if a system captures that Mr. Baguma has voted, the what I explained earlier of people voting more than 4 times, it will not happen again. Because once you appear that you voted, you are captured on the nationwide system. Even if you move and go to Masaka, the system will know that this person has voted. The fear of our viewer, it is true that even in technology, people are finding sophisticated mechanisms of how they can infiltrate. Now it is upon the Electoral Commission to make sure that it has enough safeguards to prevent any infiltration, to have enough safeguards to protect this ballot paper. Because even before we approve the system that this is authentic, we have to pre-check it. Does it have enough protection? If, for example, now someone sits in Spain, can that person infiltrate, because we are dealing with a space? The space is borderless. Can the person infiltrate the process? Those are questions which we ask scientifically. And the moment that we are approved by the government and the security agents, they assured us that the system is well protected by our walls, then we know, we are sure we can take this approach. If we don't choose to appreciate growth because of the challenges which are there, we will not move to where we want to go.
But even now, we are left with no choice, because
is it a genuine concern?
Yeah, it's a genuine concern, but we need to move, because we can't stay digging with a hoe, yet there is a tractor that can actually make life easy for me. For example, the Supreme Court made a ruling that we have to go digitally. We have to use technology. Electoral Commission has to use technology in their process, and they made that, and Parliament rushed to actually uphold the Constitution ruling, the Supreme Court ruling. So with those challenges are there with technology, but we have no option. We have to move that direction. We have to move that direction because it saves a lot. For example, Kintu here, he will not have time to go and register. He might not have that time, but he can have a time to register on his phone. And 2, you know, there's still challenges even with the system that we have. Because in Rwanda, when I was observing elections in Rwanda, there's a lady who came, very innocent. She told the presiding officer, I have been here, you know me, we come from the same village. I have not voted, but the system says I have already voted. So, but you have not seen me. How come you're telling me that I've already voted?
Yeah, but so I also saw in the media that a retired bishop and his wife came to the polling station and they said, but the bishop, he had already voted.
You have already voted.
And he had come to vote.
And he had come to vote. And everybody knows the bishop, and they have never seen him since morning. Like, maybe he came very early, but I know there are challenges with the system, but we need to work towards that. Because even in America, like he said, during Biden, he claimed that Trump used Russian technology to infiltrate their system. Imagine in America. But how about Uganda? But still, those challenges cannot stop us from moving ahead. Just like I cannot say, because there is a taxi, I used to walk from home to school, but now there is a van, I should not actually pay for my child's van, because we actually used to walk. Why can't my child walk? These are times, we are heading at other centuries. So meaning that we have to move, whether we like it or not. As a country, we need to move. That's why we have ATMs. That's why we have in medical insurance cards. That's why we have moved. So we need to, whether we just have to clean our process and just put those safeguards. You never know. And
yes, maybe additionally, us going scientific doesn't mean that we are putting away the integrity of the human resource. Why during an election we have supervisors from the Uganda Electoral Commission? Because if I take you to a polling station, it has its presiding officer. And then there is who we call a parish presiding officer. Those people don't happen to exist by formality. They exist to make sensitive key decisions. For example, in the case where the retired Archbishop went to the polling station and the machine says you voted, the Archbishop has not voted. It goes back to the integrity of the supervisors, the human resource. Because now also technology can be, it has its own challenge.
It can fail.
But then the human resource has the capacity to determine, and they take a decision as stakeholders at a polling station after communication. Actually, in some areas, it requires even to call the district registrar and these observers to come at the polling station. We have a scenario of a kind. How do we go about this? A decision is taken where all stakeholders are witnessing that the Archbishop has not voted. This is a known figure in the village. Should we deny him a right to vote, or should we allow him access to vote? As human beings, we shall say, allow him to get vote.
They have at the polling station there are two. There is a machine and the manual register. So if the machine fails, because there are instances where the machine fails because of electricity, they are not charged properly. So they have the alternative to use the manual register. So in that case, they should have, maybe because they were doubting whether the machine has, maybe there was a problem with the machine. So they should have relied on the manual register, because they have it, and even the candidates, all the agents and the presiding officer, they all have the manual register, both.
But we have had several that an election is not determined, an election result is not determined by the voter, but by the one counting the vote. So even when you have a digital system, wouldn't you have the one counting the vote count the way they want?
Yes, that is why we have had so many cases, so many MPs. There are several MPs that have been thrown out of parliament. That's why you have had by-elections, because there are those challenges. People who have no integrity tempered and actually infiltrated the process and actually gave in the votes that does not actually belong to the other person. So, but if, like what he said, that we need to have integrity. If we have these presiding officers pay attention and actually know that this is their role. If any mistake that is done by presiding officer, it has an impact on the integrity of the whole process. So if people see at that polling station and see that really this person got 500 votes, and the presiding officer at that very polling station is counting other votes, then that means you are actually frustrating these people who have spent a whole day coming to vote. As a presiding officer, you need to have integrity as you are executing your work.
But you know, not all human beings will have integrity, probably even not all animals or plants. And I've had your chair threatened.
Now,
5 years, shouldn't people be getting sanctions? Should we just depend on integrity? Can integrity alone deliver a free, fair, and just election?
because now, despite the fact being that we check the integrity of the officers manning an election, but also the candidates who having their agents, they must check the integrity of their agents. It is very, very important.
And why?
Because if you are having an agent who is illiterate, agent who will not know that on the declaration form they are writing these figures, there are chances of different votes to be counted and different figures entered on the DR form.
Exactly.
Why we put all these processes is to check the integrity, because we know a human being can be compromised.
Yes, of course.
If this human being is compromised, one presiding officer who is counting the votes, will all the agents be compromised? Because before we leave the polling station, every agent goes with the DR form. But what is entered on that DR form? Where we, the candidates, don't pay attention is to check the capacity and the quality of our agents. Will my agent be in position to know, before a voter proceeds to go to the machine, do I need to tick this voter using the register? That's very important. Will my agent be in position to know, if they say a candidate has got 100 votes at a polling station A, and on entering the figures in the DR form, does he or she has the capacity to know that the zeros are not 3, they are 2? Do they have the capacity to know that the wording which are entered in the DR forms, they are this and this? Because at the end of the day, what court wants is the evidence of the DR form.
Exactly.
Where the DR form is not given enough security, you are wasting time. It is why an election is just free and fair. Why is it free and fair? You must take precaution as the participants. Human beings can be compromised, but there are safeguards which are put to protect the integrity of the election, to keep it free and fair.
Shouldn't people be sanctioned? That was also original.
Now,
why are they let to go?
The sanctioning of the people, the electorals do sanction. But how do they sanction? The electoral officer, in case there is any malpractice and on ongoing election, it is the electoral commission which is in charge. They can reprimand by use of the police. But after an election results is declared, we have checked the courts of law, which checks the integrity within a specific time frame. And the moment the courts of law determine that a particular candidate practiced some malpractice in this particular election, now it goes upon the judge. The rules are very clear. What will the judge now say? It is off us the laymen. It is off the electoral commission. It is about the judge to determine, according to the level of offense of this person, what punishment do I give? But also, it goes back to the parliament.
Exactly.
Do they need to protect this vote? Can they give a maximum sentence of a person to go about 20 years or even life imprisonment to protect this ballot here? The moment that law is amended and is very clear that you can face life imprisonment, I tell you, people will desist from dealing with malpractices.
Exactly. I wanted to his last point, that Parliament has to come up and amend the law to reprimand these people, to put a stringent law to returning officers, presiding officers, anyone who frustrates the process, anyone who compromises the process. Because I know that politicians can actually buy off the returning officers and give them a lot of money to change results. So if people have evidence, I don't know why people don't take advantage of those DR forms, because they are there. So when you see that a returning officer has been compromised, you have take these people to court. But still, also, there is a weakness. When someone, for example, there is a by-election that has been declared because there was those malpractices that were handled, the DPP just sits. And this person goes ahead and still participates in the by-election. And the same returning officer, sometimes it's the same returning officer in what? Conducting that election. Sometimes they change. But the DPP has to take it from there. When the court decides, the DPP has now to come in. the DPP has to help us. That someone who has been found buying off voters and they has caused a by-election, a person who has presented fake papers, qualification papers to the Electoral Commission, and the court finds that this person was actually presented fake papers, DPP take it from there. So
are you saying...
At DPP, we have never seen DPP taking on...
the justice system is not acting...
Exactly. It is not helping the electoral process. They end at that, and yet they can actually help the process further. If we see that the DPP has picked the case, because there is evidence, after court decides, because most of these people
But some of those cases are civil. No. Electoral petitions are not criminal. So the DPP has no mandate.
No, you can
picking on them.
If someone has found actually a person who has presented fake papers, isn't that criminal?
Yeah, but you see, no one pursues that. The ones they pursue is to be restored.
Yes.
To be MP. No one pursues the criminal elements.
So, exactly. So can't DPP come in and say...
Yeah, but you see, no one reports.
No complainant.
There's no complainant. So what is your business? So it goes back to this. But also, a lot of the electoral-related cases take years that they even almost get decided after the cycle is ending. So,
take for example the one of Kawempe.
Yeah, so even earlier on, the people would stay in parliament for 4.5 years before a petition is fully decided. Yeah, so you just said the person appeals and the appeals take longer. In fact, there have been voices which have been advocating for a while now for the cases to do with elections to be treated specially by the courts of law, to be expedited.
And what is Parliament doing?
No, but you see, when I'm the one in parliament and you're petitioning against me, why do you expect me to make a law against myself?
What are the voters doing?
Yeah, that's the point.
What is the voters doing?
What are the voters doing?
Yes.
Have we done our part? And that's the civic education I was talking about. Have we done our part to empower these voters? Because even the ones who should be providing the resources for empowering them, it might backfire on them, so they will not do. And this is, you see, the ballot, discussing the ballot specifically. That's why we wanted to discuss the ballot specifically.
Mr. Baguma, I am proud of my presidential candidate, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni.
As you would be.
As I would be. But I want to vividly say I am proud of him. Why? Because he's a leader who is not after protecting himself in power. Is a leader who is after putting a legacy for people to understand. Not once, not twice, the president has stood openly to explain to the people why does the NRM system, this topic comes in the land grabbing topic. And the president goes back to the powers of the voter and says, why do we put the system of you people electing your leaders? Because we knew this government servant, the Gombola chief, the chief administrative officer, the land registrar, those government servants, the civil servants, for them would care less about the peasants' interests. And why the movement system decided to give back the power to the voter, that you elect these leaders who will check the civil servants.
Yeah, but you see, when you
go to a district,
when you're in parliament, Moses, and you're the majority in parliament, you do not then vote for money to the Human Rights Commission to empower this voter through civic education. So you are, while you are professing, or the chairman is professing these things, his actions are not where his words are.
Now, Mr. Baguma.
Yes.
How many times have you seen the Uganda Human Rights Commission being persistent on that particular budget or vote of money?
What do you mean?
How many times have you seen?
What do you mean persistent?
Being persistent, I mean, how many times have they come out? The way we see them come advocating for money to buy themselves vehicles, money to get themselves money for training, travel outside the country. Okay, how many times? Now, because this election,
Moses,
the election is owned by the citizens. How do you do
civic education without a vehicle?
The elections are owned by the citizens.
Yes.
It is in the primary interest of the citizens.
Now,
for example,
represented by who?
You are the Human Rights Commission.
Represented by who?
You are the Human Rights Commission.
Yes.
As the chairperson of the Human Rights Commission, you are answerable to Ugandans.
No.
These Ugandans,
no, you're not answerable to Ugandans. You are answerable to the people who were elected.
You are answerable.
The ones who appointed you. Those people are not putting pressure on you, and they are in parliament, they are not voting the man.
Mr.
So
Baguma,
they are not doing actions.
The voters on the register, we give them a privileged power and authority that they determine the leaders.
And after they have determined the leaders
have been determined, yes. The leaders are owned by the entire country.
They let the voters down?
By the entire, not only the voters, by the entire country.
Okay, they let the entire country down.
Because the decisions they make while they are in their leadership positions, they affect everyone.
Absolutely.
Even a person who never went to participate in the voting process is affected.
Oh, yes.
So how many times does the Electoral Commission come out to put their debate to the public concern, in that the public can draw pressure to their MPs?
But they will be fired.
How?
But this
when they have the mandate?
Them. No way. Which mandate?
So they are just protecting themselves away from the bigger mandate of the people.
Shouldn't they? From these politicians?
That is the selfishness she's talking about.
No, it is the politicians.
That is the selfishness.
In fact, when we come here, we should be telling the viewers that we are selfish. Because you see, these bodies don't put themselves in position as the people who manage them. The ones who get voted are the ones who put them. Yes, and so the ones who put them don't give them the funds they need because they are the ones who have the mandate to put. And so you find this cycle of the voters being disempowered because they are not civically competent, because we have not given them civic competence skills. And I think when we talk about the ballot being free and fair, we need civic competencies. I think it's very important. And while it is expected to defend our sides, then you see she has only been credited to do voter
education.
Voter education.
That's all. Because she had to go through vetting by a security apparatus that is very scared of what she's going to tell the public.
Not what she's going to tell the public, but they need to understand, is this person going to work in the interest of Ugandans? Or is working in the interest of someone outside Uganda?
Yeah, but
because it is common. A white person can no longer come directly to attack Uganda. They will use these agencies. I love so much the position of our Archbishop and the Church of Uganda.
They were calling for peace today.
About the issue of homosexuality and the safety of the people and the traditions and the values
they were expressing their disappointment about the election.
And in our country, the moment we get to know, for example, I'm just giving us an example. My sister here in our organization, she's getting funds from agencies who are funding homosexuality. The security has to question where these funds coming from. Are these people in for the interests of Uganda, or they are against the interests of Uganda? That's where security comes from. It doesn't come in to determine, are you going to awaken the citizens or not? She's here crucifying even my president. She has a freedom given by the Constitution of Uganda. A country which is pretended by the same president she's criticizing. That is the democracy, which even I think that after Museveni, or if the NRM by any case goes out of power, which I don't think, you might lose ever to have.
Never. You see, and that's why we will be bringing the other parties to speak about the ballots. The people who have been eating tear gas, the ones who have their people in prison
the ones who provoke police and broke the robbers. We don't want to talk about it as the journalists.
They will come. Oh, that was a lie. That was another pure lie by another agent of government. I was looking at the clip and saying, where does this man lie? But anyway, we need to stick to the ballot. We need to stick to the ballot. You have a minute and a half, each one of you, to get to the end of this program.
I cannot. Yes. I want to introduce the Mama Kalulu to the viewers. I am going to be Mama Kalulu in this election, just to make sure that everyone understands the process. Whoever will get a chance, Faridah Lule is Mama Kalulu in this election, just to make sure that everyone, even these ones who have big wings, who think that they are driving big cars, I am going to sensitize you, and I'm going to sensitize everyone who wants to understand the process. You cannot reach the Electoral Commission. Please call me. I'm free to and available to actually tell you what you're supposed to do, what you do not know, and to explain the process. Thank you so much. Thank you, Baguma, and our viewers, and Kintu. Thank you so much.
Kintu, your last minute.
What I can tell our viewers is that we are into a very critical and sensitive period where you have the power to determine the security of your country, where you have the power to determine the integrity of your religious and traditional values. Me, as a person of the National Resistance Movement, I will tell you, it is evident you've seen certain candidates being funded by forces which are invisible, forces which are against our values, and they have espoused those forces, and they have so much cherished them, they have so much even went into contract with those forces. Much as we know that we have our weaknesses as the movement, but we are very much proud of the success or the gains we have achieved. And it's why we are saying that we want to protect the gains. However, we are protecting the gains as we are taking a qualitative leap into a higher middle income status. That middle income status, we believe that we cannot achieve it without your vote. Please vote His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. Is the right candidate, is a tested leader, is a proven leader, is a leader who will value your vote, is a leader who will value your being, is a leader who cherishes the future of Uganda, East Africa, and Africa.
Okay, I don't know if my producer will give you a bill to the office of the chairman for that last minute campaign, but I would like to thank you. First of all, Faridah, thank you, Moses. Thank you so much for gracing the inaugural episode.
And we are honored to be the pioneers. It has gone in history.
Yeah.
We thank the Almighty Father in heaven.
In heaven. And the ballot 2026 has just started this Wednesday from 9 and we go all the way to 11. We shall be bringing different players to come and share their experiences, their roles or lack of them, what they have contributed or what they have failed to contribute to the electoral process. And for you, the viewer, and for you, the citizen, and for you, the voter, even you who has not yet attained voting age, it is critical that we pay attention to the elections. It is critical that we participate in the elections. It is critical that we educate ourselves about the things that make an election credible, free, and fair. But it's also important that we stand where we see that the credibility of our election is eroded, because the next 5 years and the 5 years after that, the foundations that we build every time we vote determines the quality, the goodness or badness, determines the services, determines the security, determines everything, determines where our money goes, and it's therefore very, very important. That's why Family TV decided that we are going to have a program dedicated to the Ballot 2026. So please join us next Wednesday, 9 p.m. for another episode of the Ballot 2026. I thank my production team, I thank the management, and thank God, of course, as number one. My name is Baguma Richard. Join us and don't go away from Family TV. More entertaining programs are coming your way.